Now the spa has been filled to the proper level, just above the highest back jet, not counting what we consider shoulder or neck jets. We're able to now remove the garden hose and reinstall our filter. Now when putting the filter in, it needs to line up. There's actually a short tube in there that's going to insert into the middle of the filter. If that tube's not seated properly, the filter won't sit down far enough for you to put your next part in. The next part is the basket. When you put the basket in, if the filter's in all the way, the filter will fit flush. You'll be able to take your fingers around the edge and feel a nice flush fitting. Once that's in, take the third and final piece. This is the part that floats. And you'll put it down and twist lock about a quarter turn clockwise. You'll actually feel it snap into place. Give it a slight tug and you'll notice that it will hold in place. The floating part should bob back and forth. That's normal. And that's just going to do a little bit of a bobbing action as water raises and lowers in the spa. Finally, put your filter cover on, and we should be ready to fire this thing up. We'll put some power on at the breaker, and we'll see how it works. Now that we've applied power to the spa goes through what's called its priming cycle. It doesn't seem like it's doing much of anything. There's no sound, there's no movement, but what's really happening is the system. What you see now, you can hear a spa running. You can actually hear the motor humming. No surface action whatsoever. What that means is there's power to the pump. Water should be flowing at this point, but it's not. It could be a couple things. It could be your gate valves, like we mentioned earlier. So you want to immediately check those gate valves and make sure that they're all open at this point for good water flow. If they're all open and this continues to happen, what we have is what's called airlock. Airlock is where in your pump, air is trapped where the impeller is. That's what spins the water through all your jets. Once airlock is in that point, there are a couple ways you can possibly get it out. One is by sequencing the button quickly in jets. High, low, off, high, low, off. That'll sometimes work the airlock out. Also, another trick of the trade is to open up all of your upper air valves. What that does is it allows air to come out the highest point of the spa. Okay, so we'll go around, make sure all of those are open. We'll cycle our pump a few times, see if we can get that air out of the system. And we'll be able to hear the difference: high, off, low, high, off. No success at this point. Now we're going to get into what we call priming the pump, removing an airlock. What I need to do at first is obviously, we don't like electricity and water together at the same time. Go to your breaker, turn the power off, and then we'll get to the airlock stage. Now that we know we have airlock in our system, we need to prime the pump. When it comes to priming the pump, there's really one good solution. We made sure that our valves are open on top to get the waterfall and the neck jets open. That gives us the highest point of getting air out of the system. That didn't work. What we're going to do now is we're going to go to the pump itself. The highest union is where you want to go. Obviously air travels up, or wants to travel up, so that air is trapped here and is trapped in the wet end of the pump. By loosening this up, what we're going to do is we're going to let the air and some water escape. You are going to get some water coming out of here. That's perfectly normal. But what you're going to do while you open that up is you're going to hear the air hissing out. Once you hear the air stop hissing, you want to close things back up. Okay? Now this unit, these come awfully tight from the factory. I would recommend at this point getting the strap wrench that we mentioned earlier. Again, it's a $10 tool, usually at a local hardware store. Put this on here. It takes a minute to get used to a strap wrench, but once you put the strap around, tighten it up, it's pretty easy. Get it on there, it's nice and secure. Turn it counterclockwise. Feel it turn real easy. Once you break it free, you can pretty much use your hands. You're going to have water coming out. Okay, we've got water. Listening for the air to stop. Once the air stops, we're going to tighten it back up. At this point, we're going to dry things off. You never want to get things wet with electrical on it, so we're going to dry things off here. We're going to dry our hands off, and we'll reapply power to the spa. Now that we have reapplied power to the spa, it's now in its purging cycle where it will check the components. It's going to take 4 to 5 minutes, but we're going to manually skip that because we don't want to wait that long. We're going to check and see if we remove that airlock with our first attempt. Press the button, and the truck's fired up. You'll hear some air spitting and sputtering. That's 100% normal. We had airlock. It was getting the last bit of air out of the lines. At this point, the spa is going to fire up. It's going to go through its regular procedure. It's going to take care of itself. It's going to default at 100 degrees, and it's going to filter in 2-hour periods for every 12-hour period. So you're going to filter a total of 4 hours a day. Plenty of settings to play with, plenty of energy-saving options. I highly recommend that you do some research, check out some other videos, and really learn to understand this pump.